So, dear colleagues, good afternoon. Please take your seats. I called a meeting of the General Committee on Science, Economic Affairs, Science, Technology and Environment to order. Colleagues, the agenda for this meeting is unchanged from this morning, so we'll continue where we left off before moving on to our supplementary items. And so we were in Amendment 17. Ms. Moore is not here with us, so I ask if does anyone wish to propose this amendment from Ms. Moore? So, Ms. Katsarava, can you give us your opinion, please?
In fact, Ms. Moore is not here, and we were going to propose anyway that this amendment goes beyond the scope of the second committee. Thank you.
So the amendment is not proposed, and we move on to
the next one.
To the next one. So the next one is 18. Is the same. It's also Ms. Moore. I don't know if related to Amendment 18, if someone wants to propose. Someone want to propose this amendment? If not,
I've got the same view of this amendment.
The amendment is not proposed, and we'll move. We move on. Okay, thank you. We will now vote on paragraph 43. Those who are in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Thank you. Any objections? Abstentions? Pardon. So the paragraph is agreed to 21 votes in favor, 4 against, and known abstentions. So I call now Mr. Urikanian from Armenia to propose Amendment 19. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, dear colleagues. In paragraph 44, we propose to add after the wording internally displaced persons, people residing in conflict areas, because Osce, with its status neutral toolbox, including fields missions, is well placed to address economic and social rights of all people affected by conflict, including those who are displaced and those still living in conflict zones. One such example is the Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine, which is trying to address the economic and environmental impact of conflict on all people living in eastern Ukraine on both sides of the line of conflict. Contact. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Does anyone wish to speak against Amendment 19, please? Azerbaijan delegation.
The focus of our assembly is implementing of its commitments, and we have indeed a lot of commitments related to this subject and to the protection of rights of internally displaced persons, starting from Helsinki, Budapest, Lisbon, and Istanbul. The draft resolution rightly so calls on states to identify and addresses the root causes of forcible displacements and encourages including IDPs in the OSCE agenda. Whereas we do not have in OSCE agreed commitment any commitments and agreed wording on the subject proposed in this amendment. This amendment is unrelated to the subject under consideration. It has not been dealt with in the report of Ms. Katsarava, and we are against this amendment and call on committee to not support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ms. Katsarava, what is your opinion, please?
I would like to thank my colleagues from Armenia for proposing this amendment. I recognize the importance of this topic. However, while I was drafting the report and the resolution, my intention was to focus on forcible displacement, and my preference would be to keep the original version of the text. Thank you.
Thank you. I shall put now Amendment 19 to the vote. Will those in favor please raise your cards? Thank you. Against? Who are against? Thank you. There's any abstentions? Abstentions? So the amendment is defeated with 2 votes in favor, 21 against, and 6 abstentions. We will now vote on paragraph 44 as... No, not amended, sorry.
But we vote on it anyway. We just vote on paragraph 44, not amended.
We'll vote the paragraph 44 not amended. Those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Thank you. Any abstentions? So the paragraph 44 is agreed to 34 votes in favor, 1 against, and no abstentions. So we'll now vote on paragraph 45. Those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Any abstentions? So paragraph 45 is adopted with 34 votes in favor. Now I call Mr. Pirstuk from Belarus to propose Amendment 20.
Уважаемая госпожа председатель, уважаемые коллеги, предлагаем дополнить постановляющую часть резолюции Общего комитета по экономическим вопросам, науке, технологии и окружающей среде по ОБСЕ новым параграфом о развитии и поддержании взаимодействия между различными интеграционными процессами и объединениями в регионе ОБСЕ в целях их гармонизации и создания общего экономического пространства. Спасибо.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak against Amendment 20? Ukrainian delegation, you have floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to say that we, as Ukraine, as a country, we are blessed to have some wonderful neighbors with whom we are very ready to align and integrate in all possible manner. And Belarus, who sponsored this amendment, is one such state. However, I feel that the language of this particular amendment is diffusing our attention from some of the conflicts which actually exist on the territory between Vancouver and Vladivostok. So on that ground, I think before we commit ourselves to some cooperation, we need to resolve the conflicts which exist on OSCE territory, in particular in Ukraine, in Moldova, in Georgia, in Armenia and Azerbaijan. And I think we should not mislead ourselves with some general language instead of tackling difficult problems.
Thank you, Ms. Bielkova. What is Ms. Katsarava's opinion?
Thank you. I think the Amendment 9 that was proposed, I think it was 9, yes, proposed by our colleagues from Belarus were similar to the one that they are proposing right now, and I do not think that it complements. I see it's more of a duplication of what we have already adopted this morning. So that's my position. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll put Amendment 20 to the vote. Those who are in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those who are against? Thank you. Any abstentions? Thank you. So the amendment is defeated with 10 votes in favor and 24 against and 2 abstentions. That concludes the consideration of amendments. Thank you. I propose that we now formally move to a vote on the draft resolution as amended. So those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Any abstentions? So the draft resolution as amended is adopted. So the committee has been tasked by the Standing Committee to debate and consider 5 supplementary items. We will cover them in the following order. Draft resolution on promoting connectivity in the OSCE area through development of transport links and corridors, including by revitalizing the ancient Silk Road, presented by Mr. Azay from Azerbaijan. Draft resolution on a shared priority fostering peace and security to enable young people to reach their full potential, presented by Mr. Godfrey Farrugia from Malta. Draft resolution on promotion of digital economy in the interests of economic growth in OSCE area, presented by Mr. Boleslav Pirstuk from Belarus. Draft resolution on connectivity and alignment of integration process in the OSCE area, presented by Vladimir Zabarov from Russia delegation. And draft resolution on response to demographic challenges in the OSCE area, presented by Mr. Ignacio Cosido from Spain. Amendments have been proposed to 4 of these supplementary items. So we'll start with the first, draft resolution on promoting connectivity in the OSCE area through development of transport links and corridors, including by revitalizing the ancient Silk Road. I would now like to give the floor to the main sponsor, Mr. Guliev from Azerbaijan. You have the floor. Please, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. I will be very brief, as my supplementary item has been tabled and made available to everyone, and it was distributed to the distinguished members. But before going into the details of my introduction, I'd like to thank to all my distinguished colleagues for their significant support and for the signature that they put on this supplementary item. As you know, the trade facilitation and promotion transportation links, including through development of efficient multimodal transport corridors, including revitalizing ancient Silk Road, can and will largely contribute to sustainable economic development in participating states. We, as OECD participating states, have commitments in the economic and environmental sphere related to transportation and trade facilitation enshrined in the Helsinki Final Act, and also other relevant documents adopted by OSCE and its Parliamentary Assembly. The supplementary item reaffirms our commitments and covers almost all the main aspects of the connectivity, economic and environmental cooperation among the participating states. The supplementary item also recognizes that the OECD Parliamentary Assembly can provide an important platform for dialogue among the member countries on broader transport-related issues. This document highlights the significant role of transportation links among the participating states in developing tourism, strengthening cultural ties and people-to-people contact, and of course, in this way, promoting intercultural dialogue and mutual understanding. Dear colleagues, I call on you to support this supplementary item for the name of the further strengthening mutual ties and cooperation within the framework of our distinguished Assembly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Guliev. Now the floor is open for debate. We'll have more and less. I have only one inscription, so I'll give Ms. Ermin Nagdalian from Armenia 5 minutes. So you have the floor, please.
Смотри же.
Thank you, dear colleagues. I would like to make a general statement in regard to the draft resolution on promoting connectivity in the OSCE area through development of transport links and corridors, including by revitalizing the ancient Silk Road. Our position in regard to this resolution is based on the following. OSCE, with its comprehensive security approach, is well placed to promote confidence building, including in the fields of economy, transport, and trade. Concept of connectivity was first introduced in the OSCE through the Hamburg ministerial decision on strengthening good governance and promoting connectivity. In the decision, the participating states recognized connectivity as a part of economic cooperation and reaffirmed that economic cooperation should be based on solidarity, transparency, equal and non-discriminatory partnership, mutual accountability, and full respect for the interests of all OSCE participating states. And that if action in the economic fields has a negative impact on other participating states, we will seek to minimize this in line with our international obligation. OSCE is not a transport organization, and its aim is not to promote transport corridors per se, but to promote confidence, trust, and cooperation across dividing lines with the aim to strengthen security. The primary value of the ancient Silk Road, which is referred in the title of the draft, was not simply traded movement of goods, but rather interaction between different ancient civilizations and cultures, and thus creation of climate of confidence, mutual understanding, and peaceful coexistence. The Armenian people was one of the main contributors of this cultural phenomenon. These important provisions, which were reflected in the Hamburg ministerial decision, have been omitted in this draft resolution, thus significantly altering the concept of connectivity. The delegation of Armenia has presented some proposals to the draft resolution with the aim to rectify the text and make it more consistent to the whole of OSCE approach of connectivity. And final position on the draft resolution will depend on the adoption of these proposals. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I have Ms. Doris Barnett to give you the floor.
Frau Vorsitzende, wahrscheinlich geht meine Wortmeldung nicht nur in die ähnliche Richtung, sondern bezieht sich auch nur auf den Punkt 9 des Zusatzgegenstandes hier, den wir behandeln, weil nämlich China noch nicht Mitglied der OSZE ist oder nicht Mitglied der OSZE wird und deswegen aber Mitglied in der Seidenstraßeninitiative ist. Und da kann es auch noch zu Unstimmigkeiten kommen. Und ob die Vorteile dann wirklich überwiegen für die OSZE-Mitglieder, muss erst noch nachgewiesen werden. Deswegen hätten wir, wenn wir zu dem Punkt kommen, auch im Rahmen eines Oral Amendments, wenn so etwas möglich ist, auch einen Vorschlag zu machen. Jetzt weiß ich nur nicht, ob ich das hier einbringen kann oder ob ich das dann einbringen soll, wenn wir zu Punkt 9 dieser Entschließung kommen.
Thank you, Ms. Barnett. Now I'll move to Mr. Onitchenko from Russian Federation, please.
Уважаемые коллеги, госпожа председательствующая, я хотел бы поблагодарить нашего коллегу из Азербайджана, господина Гулиева, за уместность постановки такого вопроса. И мое выступление, в том числе и связано с предыдущим моему выступлением. В моей стране, да и не только в моей стране, шелковый путь воспринимается как некое культурологическое, ментальное понятие, а не конкретный путь, по которому, кстати, до сих пор продолжают спорить ученые, где же он проходил. Действительно, в изменившемся мире в последние 3 десятилетия проблемы коммуникаций, проблемы торговых и не только торговых взаимодействий являются очень актуальными. Отсутствие Китая в данной транскрипции, мне кажется, нужно воспринимать как просто информацию и не связывать с этим наши решения, потому что элементами тех подходов, которые ищет сегодня Юго-Восточная Азия, в регион Европы, является и Северный морской путь, и все это укладывается в тот менталитет взаимодействия Востока и Запада. Поэтому я благодарю господина Гулиева за его уместную инициативу, но при этом Россия резервирует за собой право поддержать целый ряд поправок, которые здесь высказаны, и по результатам этого решения мы будем принимать свое окончательное решение по данной поправке. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. So we'll now move to consider the amendments submitted to this supplementary item. 5 amendments have been tabled and copies of amendments have been available also. In discussing amendments, we'll follow the same procedure as from the main resolution. I will call the proposer of the amendment first, any opponent of the amendment then, and I will ask Mr. Guliev in this case for his opinion in the end. All the speeches will have more or less 1 minute. We will also vote on each paragraph to which there are no amendments. So for the first amendment, I'll call Ms. Nagdalian from Armenia to propose Amendment 1. You have the floor.
Thank you. In paragraph 1, we propose to make reference to OSCE comprehensive security approach, since OSCE is not a transport or economic organization, but regional security organization. Therefore, we need to properly reflect the link to security in this resolution. We also propose to specify that we refer to those OSCE norms, principles, and commitments which are related to cooperation in economic and environmental dimension. Both these proposals are based on the agreed language of OSCE Ministerial Council Hamburg decision on strengthening good governance and promoting connectivity, and aim at ensuring consistency between executive and parliamentary pillars of our organization.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak against Amendment 1? What is Ms. Guliev's opinion or Azerbaijan's opinion?
No, against the amendment.
Okay, thank you. I shall now put Amendment 1 to the vote. Those...
No, I have some refusal for amendment. Against.
But you want to specify the reasons?
Yeah, of course.
Please, no. I gave you the floor and I understood
the Azerbaijan card.
Okay, you have the floor, please.
The Helsinki Final Act, other OSCE acts, and also Madrid documents stipulate that the development, mutual development, and economic partnership between countries must fully respect the principles guiding relations among participating states. And the proposed amendment cannot be endorsed because it proposes us to support only few principles at the exclusions of others. And we must take into consideration a basis of these documents. That's why I'm against of this amendment at weakening our commitments. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now I shall put this. What's your opinion, Mr. Guliev?
Madam Chair, please don't forget about the opinion of the principal sponsor. Thank you for giving floor. I'd like to remind to my colleagues that our organization is not only about security issues, as was mentioned here by our Armenian colleagues. Our organization is about cooperation, as it was entitled, Organization for Cooperation and Security in Europe. This is the first. Second, it was mentioned twice that the economic cooperation and the trade issue is not appropriate to the mandate of the Assembly. It is not true. One of the three main pillars of our organization is the economic cooperation. We have the economic committee, which is really, they're dealing a lot of issues and they're being, they're very, very, very operational. This is why, this is just one comment. Concerning the amendment that was moved by our colleague, I'm against. I also share with the view that was presented by Azerbaijani colleagues concerning the comprehensive approach, because if we will single out one or another principles and take out from the Helsinki package, it will not work, and this is why I would prefer to keep my draft paragraph as it is, not just put something that could exclude others. This is why I like to ask my distinguished colleagues to vote against this amendment and to keep the draft version as it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guliev, for your opinion. I shall now put Amendment 1 to the vote. Mr. Onichenko, it's something, I just want to make you sure that I will not accept more comments on this because we had a previous debate and all the considerations must be put before. So we'll move on because we have no time for discussing more in this point. So I shall now put Amendment 1 to the vote. So those who are in favor, those who are in favor of Amendment 1, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Thank you. Any abstentions? Thank you. So the amendment is defeated with 11 votes in favor, 22 against, and 4 abstentions. We will now vote on paragraph 1. Those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Thank you. Any abstentions? Thank you. So the paragraph 1 is agreed to 32 votes in favor, 2 against, and no abstentions. We will now take paragraphs 2 to 7 together. Does anyone want to separate them? So those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Any abstentions? So the paragraphs 2 to 7 are agreed to 37 votes in favor. I call now Mr. Fokin or someone from Russian delegation to propose amendment 2. You have the floor.
Спасибо, госпожа председатель. Без всякого сомнения, возрождение древнего шелкового пути требует несколько уточнений внутри самой резолюции. Ведь путь сам по себе подразумевает создание совместных систем транспортных перевозок, облегчение транспортного сообщения, в частности, что будет способствовать организациям, международным организациям, заинтересованным странам создавать совместные железнодорожные перевозки пассажиров, наших избирателей, товаров между государствами участниками, обеспечению эффективности, что сейчас крайне важно, обеспечению безопасности и устойчивости транспортных сообщений и торговли. Сегодня мы с вами смотрим чемпионат мира по футболу, и я могу сказать, что именно транспортные темы, они особенно важны. И большинство болельщиков, когда они видят, насколько профессионально, качественно организована система транспортная в России, говорят о том, что это крайне важно. Поэтому для нас, я считаю, было бы важным внести эту поправку для того, чтобы мы четко понимали направленность нашей резолюции. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. Does anyone wish to speak against this amendment? What is Mr. Guliev's opinion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you have seen from the list of the signatories who moved this amendment, who prepared this amendment, I also there, so it means that I am supportive. I don't have any objection to that amendment. I support that.
Thank you very much. Now I'll put the amendment to the vote. Those who are in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Any abstentions? So the amendment is adopted with 34 votes in favor, none against, and 3 abstentions. We will now vote on paragraph 8. Those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Any abstentions? So paragraph 8 is agreed to 36 votes in favor. I call now Mr. Dobre from Romania to propose Amendment 3. Is there anyone interested in propose this amendment? So, what is Mr. Guliev's opinion on this?
Again, I supported this amendment proposed by Mr. Dobre from Romania. So I have no objection to that, so I can support that.
Thank you. I shall now put Amendment 3 to the vote. Those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Thank you. Any abstentions? Thank you. The amendment is adopted with 29 votes in favor, 1 against, and 2 abstentions. We will now vote on paragraph 9 as amended. Those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Abstentions? So the paragraph 9 as amended is adopted with 35 votes in favor and 1 abstention. We will now take paragraphs 10 to 12 together. Does anyone want to a separate vote on these paragraphs? So those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Abstentions? So these paragraphs 10 to 12 were adopted with 36 votes in favor. Now I call Mr. Nagdalian from Armenia to propose Amendment 4. You have the floor.
In the previous remark, Mr. Guliev emphasized that OSCE is about cooperation. He can prove sincerity of his words by supporting my proposal. Because, dear colleagues, we are gathered here to promote peace and security through cooperation and confidence building between participating states and peoples. We believe that transport corridors can promote confidence only provided if they are inclusive and non-discriminatory. Otherwise, transport corridors which aim at bypassing certain countries or isolating them may even deepen existing dividing lines. Therefore, we propose to add in the end of the paragraph reference to non-discriminatory and inclusive character of multimodal transport corridors. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak against this amendment? Please, you have the floor. Azerbaijan.
I am against this amendment. The resolution is an inclusive one and speaks about development of mutually beneficial economic ties and stronger partnership between participating states without exception. Furthermore, in accordance with Helsinki Final Act, its states will respect each other's right to define and conduct as it wishes its relation with other states in accordance with international law. There are another subject and question arises. If a state implements an economic project on its territory or mutual agreed territory, how it can discriminate against other states? The proposed amendment is therefore irrelevant. Again, the provisions of resolution talk about cooperation and building partnership among all states. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What is Mr. Guliev's opinion?
Yes, Madam Nagdalian, this is really about cooperation. If you look at the concept of my draft resolution, it talks fully about cooperation. It talks about the exclusiveness and, of course, having the goodwill and promoting economic and the other ties. This is why I am against of using such negative wording like discrimination or isolation, because this is exactly about cooperation, not discrimination. And on the other hand, if you look at one of the provisions, it exactly says that resolution underlines the importance of ensuring free and secure movement of persons, goods, services, and investments across borders in conformity with relevant legal frameworks, international law, and OECD commitments. This is why I am in favor of keeping the original draft paragraph and reject the amendment proposed by my colleague. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I shall now put Amendment 4 to the vote. Those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Thank you. Any abstentions? Thank you. The Amendment 4 is defeated with 10 votes in favor, 14 against, and 9 abstentions. We will now vote on paragraph 13. Those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Sorry. Do we need those against? Any abstentions? Thank you. So the Amendment 13 is adopted with 28 votes in favor, 1 against, and 5 abstentions. We will now take paragraphs 14 to 20 together. Does anyone want to separate them? So, please, Andorra.
20th.
I didn't listen to you. If you can repeat, please.
I think that there is an amendment on the 20th, so we cannot vote the 20th together.
The question is, it comes after paragraph 20, okay? So those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Abstentions? So the paragraphs are adopted with 36 votes in favor. Now I call Mr. Naudi from Andorra to propose Amendment 5.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, thank you to all the supports to our amendment. But I have to say that yesterday we had a meeting with Mr. Gudiev, the co-sponsor of the supplementary item we are talking about, and we agreed to propose a new oral amendment. So if everyone agrees, I would remove my original amendment, and I will propose to the committee a new text. The text says as it follows: encourage the participating states to further expand and enhance the cooperation between landlocked, transit, and non-landlocked countries that will help addressing the specific needs of landlocked countries, such as impact of adverse climate conditions on transport links, taking into account the relevant Osce commitments related to transport and border management. This new text, this oral amendment that yesterday we agreed with the co-sponsor, Mr. Gudiev, of this supplementary item, we think that's an improvement of the original one, which had the support of a lot of you, dear colleagues. So we propose to the committee to adopt this new text. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Naudi. So you propose to delete the previous amendment and you suggest an oral amendment, a new one. So I have to ask to the committee if there are objections with this oral amendment. Armenia delegation, you have the floor.
I think they've objected to the oral amendment.
You objected the oral amendment. So I think we cannot proceed. There is an objection. We cannot proceed with the oral amendment. So I think this is already retired, withdrawn. So we'll move to conclude the votation. So thank you for the considerations of all the amendments. And now we formally move to a vote on the draft resolution as amended. Would those in favor of adopting the draft resolution as amended, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Thank you. Any abstentions? Thank you. So the draft resolution as amended is adopted with 35 votes in favor, 1 against, and 2 abstentions. So we move to the other supplementary item, draft resolution on a shared priority, fostering peace and security through enabling young people to reach their full potential. I would now like to give the floor to the sponsor of this supplementary item, Mr. Farrugia from Malta. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and dear colleagues. Young people are opinionated and outward-looking. Young men and women are tomorrow's leaders, and it is our objective to safeguard that they are involved in decision-making and sustainable development of the well-being of society. Madam Chair, if each community empowers young people to develop their full potential and competencies, and is engaged in building resilience in society, if each nation promotes and supports young people's inclusion in democratic good governance, then economic, environmental, and social strategies will be sustained, as our present is their tomorrow's prosperous future. This resolution urges us to unlock the potential of young people by working towards positive change and to humanize politics. Madam Chair, if each and every inspiring effort and good practice is taken on board and implemented, then the main challenges of OSCE to instill greater cooperation among nations and to foster peace of mind and make Europe a more livable, safer place is more easily achieved. This resolution identifies the developmental challenges facing young people today and recommends valid entry points at regional, national, and international levels for any youth strategy which aims to empower youths through positive change. As parliamentarians, we must be truly committed to engage young people. It is very concerning that young people are generally not interested in community welfare, in the art and science of politics, and in participating in democratic processes. Thus, it is imperative to make every effort to rekindle young people's sense of belonging and leadership. It is everybody's interest to nurture their cause, and we thus call on OSCPA and participating states to give young people a higher priority in our agenda. Madam Chair, we must engage in political dialogue and ascertain young people's human dignity, freedom, social justice, solidarity, and equity. Madam Chair, we will soon be spectators of the World Cup semi-finals. I'm of the opinion that this resolution deserves a perfect score. Let's make this world a better place and a more sustainable place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farrugia. We don't have inscriptions for a debate on this supplementary item. I don't know if someone, please, Tajikistan, you have the floor. I think for 5 minutes, please. Press the micro button. Yes.
Спасибо большое. Я хотела выступить в поддержку данной резолюции. Сегодня большую тревогу вызывает примыкание части молодежи к террористическим и экстремистским рядам, особенно соблазн прикнуться к исламским радикальным и экстремистским группировкам. Современная ситуация, возрастающие угрозы вынуждают нас о предпринятии мер, чтобы предостеречь молодежь от вступления во всякие радикальные движения и группировки. Все страны ОБСЕ должны дальше продвигать стратегическое партнерство в формате разработок программ, организации современных культурных и образовательных проектов, спортивных проектов, и для того, чтобы предотвратить привлечение молодежи к нежелательным, в частности, экстремистским и радикальным группировкам. Парламентарии должны сотрудничать в деле рассмотрения и принятия нормативно-правовых актов по ответственности за правильное воспитание детей. Старшее поколение должно чувствовать большую ответственность за будущее наших детей. Мы считаем, что должны поддержать данную резолюцию, так как будущее мира зависит от той политики, которую мы сегодня будем вести в отношении молодежи. Спасибо за внимание.
Thank you very much. I don't have more inscriptions, so we move to consider the amendments on these supplementary items. We have 3 amendments to be considered, and copies of the amendments have been made available to you. So in discussing amendments, I will call in the same procedures as we've been doing during this meeting, and I ask you to talk no more than 1 minute. So I'll begin. I'll begin.
Yeah, that's right. So we start with paragraphs 1 and 2. We have to agree the paragraphs.
I'll begin with taking paragraph 1 and 2 together. I don't know if anybody wants to separate them. Mr. Farrugia, please. Oh, okay. So we will vote them separately.
Yes, please.
Okay. So we'll move to vote paragraph 1.
No.
I'll put
my mistake. My mistake.
So we'll vote together, the first and second.
Yes. I thought you were referring to the other articles. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we'll vote together paragraph 1 and 2. Those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Abstentions? Thank you. The paragraph is adopted with 41 votes in favor. I call now Ms. Gett from Russian Federation to propose an amendment. Please, you have the floor in Amendment 1.
Уважаемые коллеги, мы бы хотели уточнить формулировку. В тексте пункта 3 говорится о том, что молодые люди являются опорой общества. Мы предлагаем формулировку «вносят важный вклад в развитие общества» с тем, чтобы не ущемлять другие возрастные категории и в то же время подчеркнуть на самом деле значение молодежи в развитии наших обществ. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. Does anyone wish? Ms. Doris Barnett, please.
Ich bin dafür, dass wir die Formulierung so belassen, wie sie ist. Denn zu sagen, die Jugend ist das Rückgrat der Gesellschaft, ist was anderes, als zu sagen, sie machen einen wichtigen Teil der Entwicklung aus. Rückgrat ist viel, viel stärker, und wenn die Jugend wirklich unsere Zukunft ist, dann müssen wir ihr auch mehr vertrauen und sie nicht nur so nebenbei mitlaufen lassen. Deswegen wäre ich dafür, dass wir es beim Wording lassen.
Thank you very much. What is Mr. Farrugia's opinion, please?
Young people are main actors in the well-being of society. They affect society's well-being, and society affect theirs. It is our responsibility and obligations as politicians to address public confidence in young people. This suggested amendment dilutes the concept of empowering youth to be involved in society change. If we believe in young people, then they should be upheld as the backbone of society. If we want young people to trust us, then we need to earn their trust by nurturing a relationship with them, showing that we believe in them, truly addressing the specific needs of their development and well-being, and eliminating all barriers and obstacles to their participation in civic-minded endeavors. I'm therefore not in favor of the suggested amendment, because we should not be half-hearted in our commitment to address this resolution.
Thank you very much. I shall now put the amendment to the vote. Those who are in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Thank you. Any abstentions? Thank you. So the amendment is defeated with 7 votes in favor, 25 against, and 1 abstention. We will now vote on paragraph 3. Those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Any abstentions? So paragraph 3 is agreed to, 31 votes in favor and none against, and 5 abstentions. We'll now take paragraphs 4 and 5 together. Does anyone want a separate vote on these paragraphs? So those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Abstentions? So the paragraph 4 and 5 are adopted with 36 votes in favor. I call now Mr. Fokin from Russian Federation to propose Amendment 2.
Спасибо, госпожа председатель. Без всякого сомнения, молодые люди – это то основа общества, которая позволяет цивилизации активно развиваться. Известный французский философ XVIII века говорил о том, что Жан-Жак Руссо говорил о том, что мы приходим в этот мир как чистые доски, на которые жизнь наносит те росписи, те знания и ту основу, когда формируется молодой человек. Поправка направлена прежде всего на то, что мы должны подчеркнуть обязательность и основу последовательного образования, которое мы должны дать молодежи. Именно образованные молодые люди могут эффективно противостоять идеям терроризма, пропаганде и понимать, для чего они пришли в этот мир. Именно образование является основой понимания происходящих политических, экономических и иных проблем, которые мы решаем сегодня на планете Земля. Прошу поддержать данную поправку. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. Does anyone wish to speak against this Amendment 2? Ms. Bielkova, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dear colleagues, I think, the initial language of this resolution supplementary item is quite clear. And I think when we start to use language of enabling young people to reject terrorist narratives and propaganda, we may look at it very differently. Case in point, Oleg Sentsov, who is a Ukrainian citizen, is right now being detained as a political prisoner in Russia for his freedom of speech. He was totally against annexation of Crimea, and he expressed his will as a young generation of Ukrainians. He was, his opinion was dismissed. He is now imprisoned. He is on hunger strike. However, Russian leadership is saying he is on a diet, on a particular diet. This is how they educate the younger generation of Russians of what is happening in this particular case. So I feel very strongly we need not to mislead ourselves with this fuzzy language of educating instead of, providing younger generation free choice of information. They choose what they say, what they read, and what they do in their life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll ask Mr. Farrugia's opinion.
In reference to your amendment to Article 5 of the Preamble, I agree with the introductory part, which ends with the words global campaign against terrorism. But I beg to differ about the second part of the article, from the words and underscoring to more effectively. I'm hereby suggesting that this is substituted by the words empowering young people through formative or informative, which is theoretical or practical, education. Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, Article 8 and 11 of the resolution already delineate the message intended by the part of Mr. Falkin's amendment, which I am suggesting to delete. I'm suggesting that the new article after 5, which is being suggested by this proposed amendment, reads so. Recognizing that young people can contribute effectively to building society's resilience to terrorists and extremist ideology, and to foster an environment that is not conducive to terrorism, as well as to supporting the global campaign against terrorism by empowering young people through theoretical and practical education.
Mr. Farrugia, you are making an oral amendment according to the suggestions. Well, your opinion is this oral amendment that you read. So I'll ask to the committee if there's anyone who objects the amendment. Yes. Russian Federation objects this oral amendment?
Нет, я думаю, что в принципе, о чем говорится в моей поправке автора, внесенной устно, они перекликаются. Мы можем согласиться с такой позицией. Спасибо.
Ukraine objects also the oral amendment.
Oral amendment would be still objected by us. We feel very strongly and we feel very comfortable with the original version of the text.
We can't take the oral amendment, so we vote on it.
So we can take the oral amendment and we'll take again the original version. And I'll put the amendment 2 to the vote. Those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Thank you. Any abstentions? Thank you. So the amendment is defeated with 15 votes in favor, 22 against, and 5 abstentions. So we'll move now and take paragraph 6 and 7 together. Does anyone want to separate them? So, those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Any abstentions? So, paragraph 6 to 7 is agreed with 33 votes in favor. We'll now take paragraphs 8 to 27 together. There's anyone? Oh, sorry, we still have one amendment, third amendment. So I call Mr. Pitokopitis from, well, he's not here. Does anyone wish to present this amendment on behalf of Cyprus? So, Mr. Farrugias, please, you have the floor.
I support my Cypriot colleague's amendment. This outlines unemployment in Middle East and North Africa as a security risk within and outside the region, not least through acting as a push factor which leads to migration. Such migration, most of which is irregular, forces migrants to resort to highly risky and illegal channels. Additionally, it places the security and stability of transient and host countries. However, I would like to tweak the amendment slightly in order to include another region in turmoil. The socio-economic challenges and geopolitical stability of the sub-Saharan region results in mass displacement of people who generally use Libya as a route country to brave the Mediterranean Sea in hope of reaching prosperity in Europe. I acknowledge the fact that countries in the Middle East and North Africa mentioned in the proposed amendment are part of the Mediterranean basin, and note that these North African countries have been burdened by irregular economic migration and asylum seekers coming from the sub-Saharan region. This has been ongoing since 2002. Throughout this period, we have not managed to find a plausible, permanent solution to this human dilemma. It is for these reasons that the sub-Saharan region deserves special attention. Thus, I would like to include sub-Saharan Africa in the proposed amendment. Thus, I propose that the amendment will read, noting with concern soaring youth unemployment in Middle East, North Africa, and sub-Saharan Africa, removing region, and this multiplying impact on existing security challenges, and stressing the need to provide greater support to countries of this region in their transition efforts towards sustainable growth, which will benefit economic development and job creation. Mr. Pitokopoulos and I have communicated. We agree with the inclusion of the sub-Saharan region. Thus, if everybody agrees, I propose that the tweaked amendment can go through.
Thank you, Mr. Farrugia. As far as I understood, you are proposing an oral amendment in order to include not a region, but sub-Saharan Africa in the text. And I'll ask if anybody objects this. Ms. Doris Barnett, please.
Frau Vorsitzende, liebe Kolleginnen und Kollegen, ich habe ein Problem mit dem Antrag, auch mit dem abgeänderten Antrag. Wenn wir Jugendarbeitslosigkeit sagen, das ist der Auslöser für Sicherheitsprobleme. Griechenland, Spanien hat Jugendarbeitslosigkeit in der Größenordnung von 50% und das ist birgt keine Sicherheitsgefahr. Also wir sollten auch solche Gegebenheiten nicht dazu nutzen, zu sagen, da gefährden wir ganze Staaten mit. Das ist die innere Aufgabe eines Landes, für seine Jugend zu sorgen. Und es ist richtig, dass starke Länder dafür sorgen müssen oder helfen müssen, dass es in Ländern, denen es nicht so gut geht, aufwärts geht. So wie wir in der EU ja auch unseren Mitgliedstaaten Spanien und Griechenland helfen beim Abbau der Jugendarbeitslosigkeit. Und ich habe da Bedenken, ich möchte das nicht, dass wir die Jugendarbeitslosigkeit als Auslöser für Sicherheitsprobleme nehmen.
Thank you very much. This oral amendment can be taken. So we'll consider the original version and we'll put it to the vote. So those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Any abstentions? So the amendment is adopted with 25 votes in favor, 7 against, and one abstention. We will now take paragraphs 8 to 27 together. Does anyone want to separate them? So, those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Those against? Any abstentions? Azerbaijan. The paragraphs are adopted with 36 votes in favor, 1 against, and none abstentions. So that concludes the consideration of amendments. Thank you. I propose that we now formally move to a vote on the draft resolution as amended. Those in favor of adopting the draft resolution, please raise your cards. Thank you. Against? Abstentions? 1, yes, 2, 3. Thank you. So the draft resolution is adopted with 36 votes in favor, 3 abstentions. We now move to the next draft resolution on promoting of the digital economy in the interest of economic growth in the OSCE area. I'd now like to give the floor to the sponsor, Mr. Pirstuk from Belarus. Please, you have the floor.
Уважаемая госпожа председатель, уважаемые коллеги, делегация Беларуси представляет проект резолюции продвижения цифровой экономики в интересах обеспечения экономического роста на пространстве ОБСЕ. Я хотел бы прежде всего сердечно поблагодарить соавторов данной резолюции за поддержку. Современный мир живет в уникальных социально-культурных и экономических условиях. Еще пару десятилетий назад мало кто мог предвидеть такую зависимость человеческого общества от цифровых технологий. Сегодня массивы данных – это полноценный актив наравне с валютой или оборудованием, сфера хождения которого давно перешагнула национальные границы. В настоящее время много и часто говорится о цифровой экономике. И мне кажется, далеко не все и не всегда правильно осознают ее суть. На самом деле цифровые технологии серьезно меняют нашу жизнь и цивилизацию. Повсеместно внедряется автоматизация труда и интеллектуальных операций. Меняется сама модель производства и потребления. Цифровая экономика становится одним из ключевых факторов роста производительности труда и повышения качества жизни граждан. Становлению цифрового общества, в том числе его экономического измерения, должно способствовать расширение международного сотрудничества по вопросам новых технологий. Особую важность представляет развитие электронных технологий, призванных содействовать цифровизации международной торговли, гармонизации цифровых рынков, сближение стандартов в сфере регулирования цифровых услуг. Предлагаемый проект резолюции призван содействовать продвижению цифровой экономики в интересах обеспечения экономического роста на пространстве ОБСЕ. В условиях новых экономических усилий реалий предлагается обратить внимание государств, участников ОБСЕ, на вопросы перехода к адаптации общества к цифровой экономике, гармонизации стандартов, международного сотрудничества в целях сближения государств, цифровизации международной торговли и других. Особое внимание следует фокусировать на идентификации общих проблем государств, участников ОБСЕ в этой области и выработке мер, отвечающих общим интересам по их преодолению в целях устойчивого и гармоничного социально-экономического развития. Благодарю за внимание.
Thank you. Now we'll open the debate. We don't have much time. I'll give to the delegates 3 minutes each. We have 2 inscriptions. And we'll start with Mr. Francisco Sorbara from Canada. You have the floor.
Thank you. Colleagues, thank you for this opportunity to discuss the supplementary item sponsored by Mr. Pershatuk. The OSCE PA's meetings are always characterized by useful exchanges among parliamentarians about the most critical challenges being faced in participating states. I believe that this supplementary item mentions 2 issues that are important and may be challenges for virtually all countries worldwide, including the OSCE participating states, promoting the digital economy, and secondly, ensuring economic growth. Many see the digital economy as an integral contributor to economic growth. In my opinion, widespread digital connectivity and the ability of all citizens, businesses, legislators, media, and others to use digital platforms can lead to improved results. For example, connectivity can improve health and educational outcomes through e-health and distance learning, which may be particularly important for learning the digital skills needed for the jobs of the future. It can enable consumers to access goods from throughout the world and businesses to reach customers in more countries. It can level the playing field and contribute to equality among people and between urban and rural residents. Moreover, as parliamentarians, we understand the importance of digital connectivity and digital platforms for both engaging with our constituents and ensuring that they are informed about the issues that affect them. Many of us use our websites and those of our legislatures to disseminate information. Online and traditional media also perform a critical function in distributing information. In my view, in order for the media to perform this vital role, journalists and others must be able to use the digital platforms in an uncensored yet responsible way. Of course, as always, benefits must be weighed against costs and responsibilities. For example, in our increasingly digital world, there are concerns about the privacy of information. In that regard, the supplementary item calls upon the OSCE participating states to develop common standards of legal protection regarding the personal data of citizens. Certainly, I believe that protecting personal information in an area in which my country of Canada has a great deal of experience must be a priority as digitalization of our world continues. In Canada, for example, I would note that Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act, which applies to the private sector, and to the February 2018 report by the House of Commons Standing Committee on Access to Information, Privacy and Ethics entitled Towards Privacy by Design, Review of the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act. The 2018 OSCE Italian chairmanship has identified digitalization as a key element of economic transformation. I believe this sends an important signals to OSCE parliamentarians. It speaks to the relevancy of our discussions here today, but also suggests that more work remains to be done. I hope that the OSCE and the OSCE PA will continue to have constructive discussions about the digital economy and economic growth, digital connectivity, and the ability to use digital platforms as communication devices in an unconstrained manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sorbara. Then I'll give the floor to Mr. Fokkin for 3 minutes also. Thank you.
Спасибо, госпожа председатель. Цифровая экономика является одной из основных драйверов сегодня устойчивого развития в регионе ОБСЕ, совершенствуя и трансформируя его компоненты в экономическую, социальную, экологические платформы. Влияние цифровых технологий на существующие бизнес-модели в большинстве отраслей промышленности, сельского хозяйства и сектора услуг приводит к их существенной трансформации, порой в очень короткие сроки. Мы отмечаем, что цифровая экономика замедляет отдельные сектора рынка, при этом разгоняя другие. Успех зависит от оперативной адаптации бизнеса к изменяющимся условиям. Призываю государства-участники и их национальные парламенты стимулировать баланс, особенно малый и микробизнес, использовать информационные технологии для своего развития. Цифровые технологии позволяют наладить эффективные цепочки поставок как внутри страны, так и между ними, как между производителем и его поставщиками с бытовой сетью, так и между потребителями в разных странах мирового сообщества. Вместе с тем мы должны отметить, что развитие цифровых технологий приводит к полной или частичной замене работников в большинстве количества различных профессий. По данным экспертов, 47% находятся под высоким риском автоматизации в течение ближайших 20 лет. Например, появление беспилотных автомобилей с уровнем автономности 5 уровня в течение ближайших 4-5 лет приведет к потере сотен тысяч рабочих мест. Система образования часто не учитывает влияние быстро развивающихся технологий. В результате государство впустую тратит ресурсы не на актуальные образовательные программы. При этом новое поколение не получает востребованных и современных в экономике навыков. Призываю государств-участников нашей дискуссии и национальные парламенты разработать правовые основы для развития гибких образовательных систем, а также системы обеспечения занятости с использованием современных технологий. Цифровые платформы обмена ресурсами имеют существенный потенциал для экономики, ограниченных природных ресурсов, раскрытия дополнительного потенциала роста в различных областях. Используя современные технологии и системы передачи данных о выбросах в атмосферу, например, государства могут лучше контролировать экологическую обстановку на своих территориях. Однако есть и негативные последствия, связанные с нерациональным использованием вычислительных мощностей и существенных энергетических ресурсов для создания цифрового кода, допустим, криптовалют, в частности, биткоин. Углеродный след мы сегодня наблюдаем, криптовалют, он растет. По некоторым прогнозам, они могут стать главными потребителями электроэнергии, что никак не отвечает повестке устойчивого развития наших государств. При этом активно развивающаяся сегодня технология блокчейн имеет большие перспективы во многих отраслях вне сферы криптовалют, в том числе в банковской сфере. Также я хотел бы обратить внимание, что, конечно, мы поддерживаем данную резолюцию, вместе с тем против тотального доступа к массивам данных современных информационных технологий, которые сегодня не могут быть закрыты для участников. Спасибо.
Thank you, Mr. Fokin. So we are in the limit of our time. So the amendments that are considered will be taken tomorrow morning. We'll meet again here in this room, 9 a.m. Thank you for your contributions to the debates of this afternoon, and see you tomorrow. Thank you.